Hello, everyone. This is Lauren Steiner. Welcome to tonight's edition of The Robust Opposition. I'm very excited to have on tonight Dan Cohen, who is going to be talking about this Russia disinformation campaign, the supposed Russia disinformation campaign. But first, I want to start with my news segment, which is my news segment. I'm just going to feature one national story, one California story, and one Los Angeles story. Had chance. Shame on McConnell. Shame on Trump. Fake crisis. Fake president. Not one penny for your racist wall. And they were creating these chants as they went along. There was one that they came up with at the time, hands too small, you can't build a wall. Anyway, it kind of went on from there. So you get the point. I mean, basically, in the news today, there was concern that the three major networks and the cable networks are not boycotting his speech. And now this Politics did this whole video showing part of Obama's speech in 2014 about immigration that the networks did not air live because they said it was too political. But, you know, he is the president, and I do think you have to show his speech. What this little clip failed to show is that Obama was actually the deporter in chief. And all this stuff with the migrants, you know, and the families being separated and the children in cages, that all started under Obama. But of course, you know, now this Politics, that's not very convenient for their narrative, so they don't talk about that. Gavin Newsom got sworn in, and on his first day of office, he unveiled a sweeping health care plan, I'm reading from the Sacramento Bee now, that would prop up the Affordable Care Act, expand health care for undocumented immigrants, and give the state new powers to negotiate drug prices. So it would reinstate the individual mandate, which Trump took away, and the revenue from imposing that penalty on a state level would subsidize health insurance for individuals earning up to $72,800 annually and families of four earning up to $150,600. They would build on existing federal subsidies for people at these lower income levels. He also signed an executive order that makes the Department of Healthcare Services responsible for negotiating all drug prices for Medi-Cal, which is the state's health insurance program, which is a dramatic expansion of the department's power to negotiate prices. Currently, they're being negotiated piecemeal by public and private entities. And the order directs the agencies to collaborate when purchasing prescription drugs. The budget expands Medi-Cal eligibility to young adults living in the country illegally. Currently, children without legal status are eligible for Medi-Cal benefits only until they turn 19. And he wants to extend that age limit to 26. Now, the best news for single-payer advocates is that he sent a letter to Trump and congressional leaders asking for permission for California to pursue a government-funded healthcare system known as single-payer. And of course, the article goes on to say it's unlikely the federal government will cooperate with Newsom's liberal plans. But the whole point of this was when SB 562 came out, our single-payer bill, many people said we couldn't enact it because we would need a waiver from the federal government. And of course, Gavin Newsom was endorsed early, 2 years before the election, by the Nurses Association because of his promise to them that he would implement single-payer health care in the state of California. So this is taking the first step towards doing that. Now, the question is, some people also say that what he's done is he's expanded health insurance, private insurance, moving more money into the health insurance companies' pockets, which is true. But, you know, then you get the, whether we want to go incremental and make life better for people right now, or do we want to just blow up the system and get single payer? And I firmly believe, and I take a lot of flack from people, that you can do both. You can fight for single payer and take the steps to have it implemented at the same time that you get more people covered. Now, the local story that I want to do is about Ed Buck, who some people who live in Los Angeles or follow California Democratic politics know is a major Democratic donor to the party. He is gay. And a couple of years ago, a young African-American male escort was found dead in his apartment. The death was an overdose of methamphetamines, which Ed Buck injected into him. Now, this was all in Jamel Moore's diary, and there was a big outcry in the community. They wanted him prosecuted. They looked into it. At first, they said it was an accidental overdose. Then the Homicide Bureau reinvestigated the death, and they presented the evidence to Jackie Lacey, who is our district attorney, who famously has not prosecuted any cop who has killed an African-American man or Latino man in the line of duty. And she decided that they didn't have enough evidence to prosecute him. So just yesterday, another man, of course, this man was older. He was also African-American. He was around 50 years old, and he was found dead in Ed Buck's apartment. And Ed Buck's lawyer saying, he already came intoxicated. LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva, who I supported, he ran on Reform, Rebuild, Restore campaign, assured me that he is investigating this and they're taking this very seriously. Now, I'm going to try to have Jasmyne Cannick on my show. She is currently very busy running for Assembly District Delegate. She's getting involved in the Democratic Party simply because she did not like the way the Democratic Party dealt with this. Many elected officials refused to return donations that they had gotten from Ed Buck or use those donations to fund the funeral expenses for Jamel Moore. So she did a press conference last night out in front of Ed Buck's apartment.
Arrest Ed Buck, prosecute Ed Buck, and then a jury needs to convict Ed Buck. And he needs to be charged with murder.
Yes.
Not manslaughter. He needs to be charged with murder. Let me tell you something. In not just in California, but in the United States, there have been cases where drug dealers, people who furnish drugs to other people who overdose and die, are prosecuted and sent to prison. What makes Ed Buck any different? Because he's white? That is absolutely ridiculous. This is the second time now. And I don't care how much money he pays Seymour Amster. It's not enough to make you believe that someone came over here already ODing and just happened to drop dead. People who are in the process of ODing, they're not able to function and walk and drive and get to some place. That is an absolute ridiculous excuse. I mean, I'm a paid spokesperson for certain people, but even I know when to just shut up and let the person deal with it on their own. Like, I wouldn't, sully my name. Seymour Amster needs to be quiet and stop defending this man. This man is a murderer. Two black men have been found dead in his house. Is it going to take a third one? Is it going to take a fourth one? At what point do the lives of black men matter? At what point do the lives of black gay men matter? Okay, we're always talking about how black lives matter, but at what point do all black lives matter? And not just matter to us. They need to matter to everybody, because if this had been a situation like Harvey Weinstein, and there was some white females popping up dead up in here, do you think we would be standing out here? No, Ed Buck would be in the county jail right now. Probably with no bail. So it's absolutely ridiculous that for the second time the sheriff's department and the coroners just wheeled out a body and left this man behind. On my best day, and I'm great at messaging, that's what I get paid to do, I could not come up with an excuse to let the sheriffs leave me alone if I had a second dead body in my house.
But that's the news roundup for today.